there's a lot of news since November started. Let's start with something today. The new unemployment figures has Anderson County at 2.8% with a record number of people employed. How close is the county to being totally recovered from the pandemic?
Well, we still have a ways to go, but with a 2.8 unemployment rate, which is lower than the state average, much lower than the national average, and the number of people that are employed now in Anderson County, which is higher than it's ever been, I think we're well on the way. So we're very excited about that. We've had some real good announcements recently. We have more announcements to come not too far away. We have some very exciting projects that have mega number of jobs. So we're working on those avenues. So we think it's only going to get better, and it's certainly a lot better than 13 years ago when, we'll work for food. Brother, can you spare a dime? So we're in a good place right now, and I think it's only going to get better.
I was going to mention that there's been a lot of expansion of existing firms and new people coming in. Are there going to be enough people to fill all these jobs?
I think there are going to be enough people to fill all of these jobs because people are continuing to locate here and they're continuing to get employees. Now, are some of these employees possibly coming from Abbeville and Greenwood? Yes. Are some coming from Georgia? Yes. But we have a lot of people that are moving into Anderson County. But let's take TTI, for example. They're hiring engineers by the boatload, okay? So those are engineers moving into Anderson County, and you have a lot of well-paying jobs that would cause one to pull up stakes and move here to be part of a lot of the new industry we have, get in on the ground floor and expand with them, which I say all the time is the place to be. Get in early and you're in the catbird seat.
And a lot of the folks that might be working retail or something else, they'll train them if they want to move into higher paying jobs.
We have more training programs out there than you can imagine through Tri-County Tech, through our tech schools, from the Anderson training facility, the one over at School District 1 and 2. I mean, there are lots of places you can go get trained. And you can go get trained if you're 60 years old, okay? It's not you have to be young. There are a lot of people going into second careers, a lot of people shifting over. Yes, our restaurants are having a hard time, but there are people coming up who will take that, but they will gravitate to something else over time. So I think that may have stabilized a little bit. Things seem to be getting closer back to normal, if there is such a thing as normal anymore.
And something you started talking about over a year ago that's now in place is the Ride to Work program. How's that working out?
Still got just a few little bumps to get over, but that's going to work out real good because, as we've said many times before, transportation is the biggest barrier. And another thing, which is the biggest barrier, is getting information out these days in this media world. How do you let everybody know? It's not like in the old days when there was one mega paper for every rather large town, and you knew what was going on and you could see what was going on, and people who needed employees would put an ad in it. It's not anybody's fault. It's a nationwide occurrence, but it's just hard to get the message out. We do these interviews with you for your newspaper, which I suggest everybody should read. And we try to put information on the website and put it out with our TV channel, but we still miss people who were trying to tell the story, too, of what's going on in Anderson County.
Any updates on how much money the county is going to get from that pandemic fund?
$39 million from the one that was passed before, but there's another one coming down the pike, and we do not know how much money we're going to be getting from that, but we do know it's going to be millions of dollars. But we have projects primed, ready to go, that we can easily accept some of that money and fund some things that we would like to do that we were having to do over a number of years for an immediate impact.
And broadband's one of those, right?
Broadband's real big. We are one of the few places that have already completed a broadband study for the county. We've had meetings in Columbia last week because they're going to be releasing money. Are they going to release it to the counties, or are they going to release it to counties who go into partnership with people like Upcountry Fiber? So we're poised to go in any direction on that. We know where there's no good connections. We know where we need to go, so all we need to do is plug and play.
And so that could happen fairly quickly once
something should happen fairly quickly, because they're not going to start off new. They're going to take where they are in existing lines and technology and move from that point. And the only thing that holds them up from doing that is the cost per mile, and that's very expensive.
What are some other projects y'all hope to use some of that money for?
Bridge repair and road work. That's real big with us. We know that there are two bridges out near 81 and 85 that continuously flood now because we get 10-inch rains. So we're looking to do that. We have two hydrology studies going in two parts of the county. What are we going to do about all of this rain we're getting, which we never got, at least in the last 60 years. But now it's becoming a more regular occurrence. And we're also looking at roads where we have to put in larger drain pipes and things like that. And the problem is most acute in the Powdersville area, that area, and the northern part of the city of Anderson. That's where we're getting the most complaints right there on that.
And the county is a little bit unusual in that you already have crews that can do a lot of this work themselves, not having to farm it out, right?
We have a wonderful public works department. Matt Hogan's over roads and bridges, and he does an excellent job. So we can do this work. We can build our own bridges. We know how to do that, and we know how to do that better and more inexpensively than if we put it out for bid.
At the last county council meeting, the county attorney was instructed to work towards getting a settlement from the Johnson & Johnson opioid settlement money. How much is that? Is it enough? I mean, is it very much money, and how will that be used?
That would be a settlement with just one company. There are many companies out there involved in the opioid settlement. There is a settlement that they have proposed to the state of South Carolina. Anderson County would get around $200,000 for that. We believe that there's more to get, because when you're facing the results of opioid addiction, $200,000 doesn't go very far. But again, that's just from one company. So we're looking to see how, we're trying to maximize the amount of money that we can get to put back into the problem, to solve the problem.
Yeah, how will we use that money for that?
Well, some of the things we've talked about is counseling. We've also talked about beefing up drug courts and possibly crisis unit facilities and things like that. But again, that's based on how much money we're going to get. So you have the opioid crisis, which is real and here today, but you also have a mental health crisis in this county and across America. So COVID is horrible. Trust me, it's horrible. It's killed many, many people. The worst epidemic is the mental health crisis in this country, in this state, in this county. There are a lot of people who are hurting, and we don't have enough money, and I don't know if enough money's been allocated from all those who can, but something needs to be done.
And there's no vaccine for mental illness.
There's no vaccine for mental illness, and there's no one type of mental illness.
Right. And that kind of brings into, it's been like 3 months now since the countywide EMS system. How's that progressing?
Amazingly well. Do we continue to have bumps? Yes, we have bumps. But so far it has exceeded our expectations. And so in about 60 days we went from nothing to putting 45 paramedics on the road, covering the entire county, and working with our private contractor, MedSure. So I'm very, very pleased with it. Is it absolutely perfect? No. Are the response rates up? Yes. The partnership with the hospital is working wonderfully well. They're in the process of establishing that oversight community. Hopefully we'll get this up where we can actually expand into community EMS, where we go by and check on Uncle Joe to make sure he's taking his medication for diabetes. And that's where we're hoping to go. And we're trying to make it seamless from us picking you up and giving you the best care there, so that when you get to the hospital, you're in better shape for them to take over and make you well again. And the Quality Control Board with doctors from ANMED is going to be very significant in making that happen.
And you're also offering training for EMS workers of all, from top to bottom, right?
You can go to Tri-County Tech and become EMS trained. MedSure has their own training program. It's kind of part and parcel of the same thing. So if you want to go in that career, there are ways to get trained for free. There are ways to go into that program and get paid, and then come out and get paid more.
Another step was taken recently too in the Equinox Mill development. Have they put forth any kind of timetable when at least the property might be cleaned off somewhat?
The biggest thing we have, council has done their job. Now it has to go to the state, and there is a tax incentive program that everybody's taking advantage of, and so they have to get through that, which we have worked very hard to make sure that it gets through that. But until it gets through that, nothing will happen. So I can't give you an exact timetable on that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that's hard to wrap your head around it if you don't deal with it every day. That things don't move quickly.
I hate it because I want things to move very, very quickly. Anderson County can spin around on a dime. We can do that on a lot of things. Some things we can't. But on something like this, we're ready to go.
And since the last time we met, county council's approved guidelines for redistricting. Do you know when they talked about early December, which is almost here? Are they going to have some sort of draft lines here pretty soon?
We're thinking maybe the first meeting in January, because the lines don't have to change that drastically for county council. They don't have to change that drastically, which we have nothing to do with the House of Representatives, for our state House of Representatives. And the Senate lines where you might see the biggest change, like I think Senator Gambrill will he will probably end up with all of Abbeville County, but that's kind of like part of his natural base, and pull up somewhat from Greenwood, make it a more compact district. But all that's caused because in the middle, below Columbia and above Charleston, I mean, there's just nobody there. And so that's causing a lot of lines to have to be redrawn. Senator Harpootlian's district's gone in Columbia. I mean, it's just disappeared, and it's going down to Charleston. So that's really where the action's been in the South Carolina Senate.
And that's what's slowing them down and getting all the lines drawn.
Yeah, but I think the House will go back in next week, and they will confirm their lines, and I think the Senate will probably go in the first or second week in December too, and do their lines.
And I guess the county voter registration folks are just on hold to getting ready for the 2022 elections. That's going to be a lot of work for them to.
It's going to be a lot of work. We're trying to do away with as many split precincts as we can, but sometimes you just can't help it because you have strict guidelines that you have to follow on how many people can be in a district and how many people can't be in a district. We've discussed this before, but Councilman Davis's district in Powdersville is going to shrink because there's so many people there. Population's concentrated. That may be the biggest shift that we see.
Council's also given okay for bids on the Kid Venture Park in Wellington expansion. Remind people what the new Kid Venture Park is going to look like.
Well, the Kid Venture Park is going to look a whole lot not like what it looks like now, but we're going to try to retain elements that let you know that it was there. And we're also trying to take the legacy portions, the tiles and the pickets, and try to incorporate them in design. But this is a project, $2.4 million, which is a combination of the county, the city of Anderson, Rotary Club, and any other money that we can find, that we found under the rug, that we can put together to do this. And our hope is that it will be open Memorial Day. And the Wellington project is we're doing that soccer basketball hybrid, but then we're doing that, but we want to dress up the ball field and make that look just as nice as what the other stuff we're putting in. But we're looking also to add more things to the Wellington Park area, but that's going to be a process and a plan which we're working on right now to really fill up that huge area.
They've had some citizens really donating a lot of their time and effort to both those projects.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have, and that's what makes it all worthwhile and makes it good. But both of those are Anderson County giving a Christmas present to Anderson County. And a lot of that money is coming from accommodations tax and things like that.
Green Pine also has recently received another award for their efforts. Is the amphitheater done out there? And
the amphitheater is done, and the new dock is done. And you're exactly right. We received a national award from Sports Marketing, and it's because of the collegiate fishing tournament and the high school fishing tournaments that we did. So it's nice for Lake Hartwell once again to receive national recognition. But pretty soon we're going to be announcing the Bassmaster Kayak fishing tournament, okay? And this is going to be on Lake Russell. It will be headquartered here in Anderson, and everything will revolve around Anderson. But it will take place on Lake Russell, and people forget that Lake Russell is in Anderson County also.
Yeah, it doesn't touch it. It does touch it. That's for
It
sure.
does. So we have a park on
We do.
Lake Russell. So we're going to give Lake Russell a little love too.
Green Pine's pretty much booked a year in advance for major tournaments. I mean, all into next
Well,
year.
we've got the Striper Challenge coming up in January, and we've got the Classic coming up at the end of March, and you got the Kayak Tournament. And next summer should be filled with lots of tournaments, which keeps bringing in money to Anderson County, and the kind of money we like. You come, you have a wonderful time. We'll take care of you. We'll treat you better than anybody else in the world. You leave your money here.
And then moving to the north side, Dolly Cooper Park continues to add features and.
Well, We've completed the master plan at Dolly Cooper Park. Councilman Davis worked real hard to get that done, working with West Cox and Senator Cash. So hopefully they'll have
Blake Sanders.
Blake Sanders, the pavilion up there pretty quick. So we're looking forward to continuing progress there. We're also looking to do a master plan for Hurricane Springs Park. We're converting some old tennis courts up there to pickleball courts because, again, and we've talked about this for 6 months now, but I mean the pickleball mania continues to spread on a daily basis. And those people are serious, very serious.
And that's a recreational activity that once you get it set up, doesn't really cost much to maintain.
Doesn't cost much to maintain. One tennis court equals 4 pickleball courts. And if you were there last Saturday and rode by the Civic Center, slammed. People hanging on the wires.
And the walking trail that's going to connect it to ANMED on 81 North, I notice there's progress on both ends now.
Yes.
First time I've seen progress down on the ANMED side. But
Well, they really wanted to get a whole lot done on the Civic Center side and then jump on the 81 side. So that's what you're seeing happening. Pretty much when they get that bridge done near Amstar Movie Theater, it'll be almost good to go.
So they're just finishing the side on the ANMED. So that track will be useful for a lot of people living down Oak Hill Drive and around Harriet Circle and
It'll be useful.
McConnell Springs Road and that whole area.
Absolutely. And then if we can branch off and hook up the trail to Clemson, which is a dream, but not a far off dream, that would be awesome.
You're getting much feedback on the new dog park now. It's been open about a month.
I told you people were there the day it opened, and people continuously go there, and more people find out about it, and more people are going there, and more people are having a good time. So everything that we hoped it would be, it is and more.
Are there phases left that were plans out there for more?
Well, we would like to finish the walking trail. Is probably the biggest thing we have left is to finish that walking trail, but we'll get to that.
What's the latest on the county working with AIM to distribute the pandemic-related rent relief? So far, I know it's more than $2 million has been distributed. It looks like the demand is going up as the evictions start.
Yes, it's going up. AIM's doing a wonderful job handling that program, and as a matter of fact, they're a model for a lot of places in the state. But in addition to doing that, they do housing rehab. They're giving out food today. Councilman Glenn Davis had a food drive Friday. Clemson versus South Carolina, who donated the most food. And then we've got a whole lot of activities coming up. This Wednesday, we will light the Christmas tree. No fanfare, just the Christmas tree. Light it up for people coming home for Thanksgiving. Cut it off on Monday. And December 3rd, we'll have the big Lollapalooza explosive Christmas tree lighting, featuring the Pelzer Light people.
The Pelzer Light people. And remind everybody why the county bought this tree in 2015 and how much money you've saved versus a live tree.
Well, there was an old magnolia tree out there, and it was an old magnolia tree. And nothing says Christmas like a magnolia tree. And anyway, it got damaged in a storm. And so we looked at getting a real tree, but then that you use the tree, then it's gone. And they're getting
expensive and time consuming to bring in and out, and you kill an old growth tree.
And you killed an old growth tree, which I'm against. And then you have to do it again next year. So this one has served us well. I think people like it. People are already out there having the pictures made with it, and it's not lit up. So that's what we're doing there. And we think with our precise calculations, it's 44 feet tall now. And as you were just in New York and you saw the tree at Rockefeller Center, you say we have a little ways to go.
About 9 years we should catch them though.
Well, we might have to hurry up.
And we can get ours up faster than they can get theirs.
Absolutely. And we're not going to Maryland to kill a tree.
And when does Administrator Santa Light go up in your courthouse window?
He always goes up on Wednesday.
So he goes up this
at
Wednesday.
At 5 o'clock.
So at dusk Wednesday, the tree lights and Santa goes up. Will he be flipped on these ushering
Santa Claus will be flipped on at 5 o'clock. He is being tested by the Underwriters Laboratory because Santa's been doing heavy duty for 13 years, so he's in good shape and
he
he's
still
ready.
Looks pretty good to be that old.
He's well taken care of during the off season.
And when will the Christmas music start coming out of the courthouse clock?
We'll probably be cranking some of that up for Thanksgiving holiday weekend, but in December we want to keep it on a regular basis.
And even though there are holidays coming up, y'all got a lot of stuff coming up in the next month, right?
We have whole lots of stuff coming up. Council meeting still working on redistricting. We have industries, and for some reason, a lot of them get really serious towards the end of the year, before the new year. Some very exciting projects. Council's got a full agenda, and a lot of things to do. And as you know, our council likes to be hands-on. Councilman Jimmy Davis, he's just had the Attorney General up there to speak to his regular meeting. Councilman Glenn Davis is fixing to have a cleanup day in his district. There's just something going on all the time, and a lot of people requesting county personnel to speak at different things. I spoke to the new chapter of the League of Voters here in Anderson County, so we're trying to get the word out, inform people in Anderson County about what's going on.
And there's 2 council meetings in December?
2 council meetings in December, but sometimes on the second meeting in December, they make that a lunch meeting.
So the next time we talk, we'll be talking about the year in review.
We'll be doing the year in review, and what a good year it was.